Welcome back to another episode here on Hacks and Hobbies. And today I get to speak with my good friend Alice Boll. Alice, thanks for taking the time to come on to the podcast.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to chat with you today.
I mean, it's kind of weird. We've known each other for almost 3 years, right? And
Yep.
my podcast is called Hacks and Hobbies. And what you do is actually one of the hobbies that a lot of people do.
I
It's
know.
a
I'm like, it's kind of funny that it's taken us this long, but maybe that just means that we waited until the right time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, your podcast is scrap happy, and your business is also scrap happy because you love scrapbooking, and the level of engagement you brought in your community is really powerful. And like you're the perfect example of passion to profit stories that we talk about here on the podcast.
And going after what you really want. So I think that is one of the things that is a funny part of my story of how I got into what I'm doing now.
So let's dial back, press the rewind button, and go back into the past and tell us a little bit about how you got introduced or how you even got into scrapbooking. Like, was that something that you absolutely wanted to do, or was there a previous Alice that we have not met yet?
Well, probably there's a few of them, but Um, I started scrapbooking very commonly. This is what happens. You have
Mhm,
kids and you start scrapbooking because you realize that, oh my gosh, my kid is the cutest child in
mhm.
the whole world. I have to do something with all of these photos.
Yeah.
And so that's where I started. And that is 24 years ago, believe it or not. And
Amazing.
I dove in headfirst, and it seemed like there was always something really cool to learn about scrapbooking. I never felt like I was doing a very good job of it,
Mhm,
but eventually along the way, I just kept trying new things and trying new things and trying new things. And I'll tell you, 24 years into scrapbooking, and there are so many new things that I am always still excited about scrapbooking. So
mhm,
obviously, I found the right thing for me, and that was really good. But it took a while before it became a business adventure.
mhm. Yeah, I think
So,
you probably scrapbook more from the creator side than actually running the business side because you got to have those reps in so you know all the nuances of scrapbooking, you know all the things that people should be avoiding, and that's how it makes really perfect sense for you to be running a business in that space. And as we were in the green room, you were like, you've done a bazillion of these podcasts. How are you always changing? Like, well, there's always a better way around it.
yeah, and I think that that experience that you put in to kind of learn the skills when you turn into an entrepreneur,
Mhm,
you are ahead of the game, right? Like you know your stuff. And I think, sometimes people are not sure of what they know. Do I have the skills to, sell this to somebody else or
yeah,
help somebody? And I think if you've done that work and you've put in that time, I've put in the time, I've done the hours, I know the skills inside out and backwards when it
yeah.
comes to scrapbooking. And I can help you take some beautiful photos of your little child and turn them into gorgeous scrapbook pages that document your story and your memories. And so, having done that work, when I jumped into it, I was ready to share my skills.
Mhm.
And I think that is such a good place to start from when you have a skill and you're going to share it with people.
That's so powerful and inspirational because the things that we are doing with our kids' drawings and things that they bring back from school, they go directly into the trash. Well, they don't go to the trash directly. They'll wait around in probably the
Right.
library on the desk, like, oh, this is something he did, you know, last year. Okay, in the trash it goes because it's it's done. It's his time, and that's kind of crazy because you want to think about how can I repurpose it, or you got to have the time to even think about that.
Well, I'll just give you a free pass on this. You can't save everything. So it is impossible to save everything. So don't even try. I
Okay,
think
good.
your job as a parent and my job as a scrapbooker is to curate a story. And you're showing new skills and you're showing growth and you're showing experience. And I think that that is what we do. We can't save every little piece of paper our child draws a scribble on, and it's okay not to. So if you save a handful of them from their childhood where they can look back and say, "Oh my gosh, I used to write my A's backwards," or something, I think that that gives you perspective of growth and you see that in like that little child in there. And I think that's a really fair thing. So just so you know, you're off the hook. You don't have to save it all.
Yes, perfect. But now what's really interesting that there are companies that are creating products where you can literally save every single of those things. So it's almost like a shadow box that you open in the front and you can
Right.
replace what one shows up and then you can kind of close the door. And then you need probably need a lot of shadow boxes to
I
be able
know, and it comes and I think that it's the same thing with scrapbooking. One of the
Mm,
things that we talk about is the curation of your memories because we live in a digital age. Taking a photo is so easy. You hold up your phone, you take a photo. Like it's such an easy thing to do. That it's too much. And so it really comes down to finding out what's important to you. And I think that's always a place where I like to start when people come to the world of scrapbooking. It's like, well, why do you want to scrapbook? And if it's because I have these great photos, that's a really good place to start, right? You have great photos. That's something awesome to work with. But it's finding the stories that matter to people and doing something with them that really inspires me because when you're sharing your story, then that's, I think, for me, that's what makes it worth my time to put into it is when I bring that story, the cute photo, all the fun products and techniques that you can do, and you bring that together. And then to me, that's what makes scrapbooking really worthwhile. And I think knowing your why, knowing what you're getting into it for is a really great place for anybody to start with, whether it's scrapbooking or some other hobby, right? Like I know you talk to a lot of people about a lot of different hobbies, and knowing why you want to do it, I think, is a good step.
man, that's such a powerful thing to say. Why you want to do is a good step, right? And that's literally the mantra of, hey, why do you want to start this business? Why do you want to sell this thing? Who's that going to be? Like, there's a lot of why questions. So even when you're starting a new hobby, there's got to be a strong enough why to have that passion piece built into it.
Mhm. So I became a member of the Scrap Happy community. I actually didn't start the community that I run now. I became a member because there was a challenge that they put out into the world called Load. It's a layout a day where you make a scrapbook page every day for a month. They give you inspiration, they give you a prompt to kind of get you started. And I was like, wow, that was amazing. I should sign up for this. I can't scrapbook a page every single day. That's not possible. Like, I really thought that that wasn't even possible. But sure enough, through the encouragement of having other people sharing pages, getting to see their pages, having people comment on my pages, through the having deadlines every day, that a kind of accountability was super good for me. And just that daily prompt of here's a story you might want to tell. Maybe you want to try this technique. That was really a great spot. And then right from that challenge, I hopped into the community and it was like I found my people, right? It was like, oh,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all speak the same language. And I think we all
Yes.
know that feeling, right?
Oh, what you're 100% right. When you find your people, you don't no longer have to filter your language to explain to them what you're talking about because they know the language and you know the language and you guys can get along. And the same thing happened with me with beekeeping. I had to go join a community to understand all the lingo and what they're talking about and be able to get into beekeeping myself. For same for cycling, the first bike that I picked up was really cheap, but it was the wrong kind of bike. I didn't know how to ride it the first time, and I fell twice. So you gotta know the right people. You gotta know the right lingo if you want to pick up a hobby, and that's a really awesome story.
Mhm. And so from there, I was a member of the community for several years. And once our leader of the community, her name was Lane, and she said, I don't have space, I don't have time, I can't do this anymore. And it was crushing to hear because these were my people now. This was my family online. And I was heartbroken to hear that. But I also felt this thing inside me like, I need to be running this. This is the perfect fit for who I am and what I want to do because I feel that this message about documenting our stories was so powerful to me. And I felt that scrapbooking, it gets poo-pooed sometimes as just that little crafty thing that you do. But I feel that in sharing our stories, there's so much more importance to it. And here I was with the people that understand. And now this was going to just end. Like that wasn't okay. And
Yeah.
so being myself in the way that I am, I reached out to Lane and I said, here's 20 reasons that I'm the right person to
Hmm.
go forward with this community. And some of them were really like funny and cute, and some of them were serious logistics. Like I was starting a little bit of online entrepreneurship at that time, trying to teach some scrapbooking classes. And so I knew the basics of what I
Hmm.
would need to know, and I know that I could learn the rest. And
Yeah.
so I made my pitch and she made it work. She totally made it work so that I could step right into this community. And
Hmm.
that was in 2016. And
Wow.
I I haven't looked back at all with any kind of regret for making that move. Like it was that one bold step. And now I
Hmm.
get to do the thing that I love all the
Yeah.
time and hang out with the people that totally get what I do. And that's amazing.
Man, that is so beautiful. I mean, having joined the community, seeing how it works, seeing how it flows, I think that's really important. And we're both part of a very powerful community as well with Pat Flynn's SPI Pro community. Uh, and that's how we got to meet. And I think he attracts people who have similar mindset. And obviously we clicked and we've been in mastermind together for a while. And when you find your people, it's so much easier to say, hey, I can take over. I'd be
Right.
happy to take over.
Right.
But then sometimes it doesn't work out, which is totally okay. It's probably a stepping stone that you had to go through, because we have seen some people leave, SPI Pro, because
Yeah.
either they couldn't make it work or it didn't work for them.
Well, I know when I first started, I tried to do things just the way that Lane did things because that's what I had experience with. And I quickly discovered that I can do things in my own way, and that's okay. She used to do a little session that she would do live, and she would scrapbook live, and she would spin a little spinner, and it would select different things for her to put on her page. I tried doing that, I think twice, and I'm like, this is not going to happen. I can't scrapbook that fast, or I couldn't at the time, but also just that chaos random of it, that wasn't the way I thought about scrapbooking. And it wasn't the way I wanted to approach my scrapbooking. It just didn't fit for me. And so I slowly learned that it was okay to transition and try new things. And I've tried lots of different new things within the membership. And sometimes it's like, okay, we're going to try this for a while. And it was awesome until it wasn't. And then we said, okay, we're going to like ditch that and we'll move on to something else. And I think that being flexible with my idea of what it was that I present and what it is I bring, because I know why I'm doing it, the details can be a little bit more relaxed, right? We have different kinds of live events that we host every month. Well, they're
Yeah.
different than they used to be. And when I
Hmm.
see a new idea and I get a new opportunity, I can roll with that. I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to host some big live events a couple years
Mhm.
ago during pandemic. They were amazing, like
Mhm.
so amazing. And one thing that came out of that was one of the instructors I worked with, she ended up coming on board with me,
Yeah.
and now she helps and makes a class for my community every single month. And for me, that was just amazing because it took one thing off of my plate. I'm
Mhm.
also bringing a different perspective so that other people, like, you get different people that bring different ideas to the table, and new ideas just means that you're going to find different people to connect with, and something will click when you get a different teacher sometimes.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect way to lighten my load a little bit while also helping support the business that she was building.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, like what a perfect fit for what we're doing now.
I think I think what you said there was is really powerful, especially because when you find your people, and she probably had the same kind of commitment that you had when you joined. She's like, hey, I can come and help, and I can be a support person, I can be the right hand person. And who knows, maybe there are some other people that would love to take responsibility, because that's something that you that is innate to human beings, is that if we are trusted to do something, we're going to go above and beyond to impress the people that entrusted us, right?
Yeah.
And that's why that's why when students are given a challenge, they try their best to do the best job they can, because not only are they graded, but then they're also getting a good feeling, hey, I did a good job, kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that anytime that we can bring people into the fold a little bit more so that they have more interaction and that they really feel that it's like their community, especially since I'm coming from the place of being a community leader. That's
Yeah.
kind of the number one thing that I do. I host the Scrap Happy membership community. And then in addition to that, we've hosted some of these big events, the Scrap Smarter experience, where we learn new skills by bringing teachers and a guest speaker together.
Mm.
And then um, yeah, I've hosted some different classes online as well. I started the Scrap Happier podcast because I just felt like we needed to get more into the head of scrapbooking and dive into the
Mm.
details. And I can do YouTube videos, and I have, but I think getting that chance to talk to it and think about it in your head, there's not a lot of people that dive into the mindset behind scrapbooking or
Mm.
other hobbies like that. And for me, that's where I've made some of my biggest growth is through looking at the mindset that you bring to the table when you sit down to do your craft and do your hobby. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the areas I've leaned more into.
No, you're so right, because when you are focused on in building on a hobby, you're literally developing your mindset. You're literally growing and getting better at not just the craft, but also how patient you have to be as a person. And if you look
Mhm.
at entrepreneurship and you look at all the different things, even parenting requires a lot of patience. Just because you're a parent doesn't mean you know everything. Because
Yeah.
guess what? Different times require different types of tactics and different types of interaction with um, the situation you might be dealing with.
I
So
have two
kudos to you.
boys.
Yeah.
They're 24 and 22, almost 23.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how different they are and the different skills I had to bring to the table when it came to
Hmm.
parenting them.
Yeah.
They did not need the same thing. We had a big discussion about what's fair and what's equal the one time because my one son saw me doing something a lot with the other. And he
Hmm.
says, well, that's not fair. You're doing all this for him and not for me
Mm.
and whatever. And I said, well, do you want it to be fair or do you want it to be equal? Because if you want it to be equal, we can have you come and do exactly what he does too.
Mhm.
Or
Mhm.
do you want it to be fair where I can look at your needs and I can look at his needs, and those are completely different.
Yeah.
And you can do your trip to Japan and he can go and do his competitive swimming, right? Like
Mhm.
there's different things that
Yeah.
you both want in this world. And my job as a parent is to figure out how can we kind of do this in a way that's
Mhm.
fair to everybody here.
Yeah.
And that was a really good discussion. And I think that understanding that difference between equality and fairness is a super important thing for them to learn. But I look at it with my membership too, right?
Mhm.
What is fair for my members? Well, I host live events. Well, I can record them and share them. Obviously, some people, we have members across the entire world. There's people across North America. That's where our largest number of members are. But I have
Mhm.
people that are in our community in Australia and New Zealand and in Europe. And so as you're looking across the world at the different people that are coming, I host some of my events at different times of day so that
Yeah.
people have an opportunity to come and be there live, which is always so much more fun when you can interact with people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so all of those times are times that people in North America can be there because that's where the most of my people are. But I
Majority, yeah.
do try to bring some fairness to the board so that people that are over in Europe or over on the other side, like they can come to something. And that's, we do the best that we can in parenting, in business, and in life,
Mm.
right?
No, you're so right because being equal and being fair, that's a really good one. I mean, if I think about like I have 4 kids, right? So I've got double the amount of people to work with or be fair with as
Yeah.
opposed to, and sometimes one kid wants to spend more time on one specific thing whereas the other kid wants to spend more time on maybe editing and recording more video or spending more time in this and that. So it's absolutely right to come to that decision on
Hmm.
what is fair and what is equal. Man, we've had some really awesome conversations, a ton of inspiration from what shaped your path, the motivations that uh, enabled you to jump into this scrapbooking community and become somebody who runs it now.
Yeah. And now that I've been doing this for a while, I feel like I have found my groove. And, it makes it like when you have a bit of you kind of got your groove on a little bit, it makes it a little less scary to try the new things,
Hmm.
right? I'm not stepping away from this, but I can
Right.
test out this other thing over here and see if that works. And I think, you know, finding that path that's kind of like, okay, I'm on this road. It's like a little bumpy sometimes, but at least I know where I'm headed. And then I can bring on these other projects and that excites me, right? It's exciting to try these new things. Like in 2020, we all know that that was a crazy year. That was when I hosted that first Scrap Smarter experience. And because I was in an online space,
Right.
I understood the ropes. I had been using Zoom for ages by then. I wasn't new to it like everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And so when I put together this workshop and I brought 10 teachers and a guest speaker together. They
Yeah.
all had classes that were pre recorded that we watched live, and then the teachers got to answer questions. Like that was one of the first things that was like that in our scrapbooking industry. And since then, everybody's like, oh, yeah, this online thing, this is pretty
Hmm.
good. And so I
Uh-huh.
did a few of them and I stepped back for a little while so that I would have a little bit of a break. And because
Yeah.
for me, if I'm having fun and I'm, feeling energized by the stuff that I'm doing, then
Yeah.
I'm on the right path. But as soon as I feel like I have to do something or, oh, I
Mm.
should do this,
Yeah.
I've lost some of that element of fun. And it's really about finding my way back to what's fun for me.
No, I love that so much. And one of the things that I was thinking about was how how does the community help somebody struggling through, let's say, hey, they come in because now we're family, right? Now you're family, and people might be going through different kind of moods and different kind of energy levels. How does the community help support people that are part of it?
Well, I think part of it is like, how are you showing up yourself, right? And scrapbooking is a very personal um adventure. Like, we make pages about our life, and within our
Mm,
community we're sharing those pages. And I always remind people, like, you don't have to share photos that you don't want to have online. You don't have
yeah.
to, you can blur things out, you can cover things up when you're sharing stuff, but we share a lot of our personal lives through our scrapbook pages. So when we do our big challenges, we do the load challenges 3 times a
Mm-hmm.
year, and we scrapbook every day for a month. Well, when you're seeing people's pages posted every day, you get to know the members. When you hang
Mm,
out in our online, like, live events, you get to
yeah.
know the different members. Like, I never think of them like members. I always think of them like my friends, because they
Yeah.
literally have become my friends. We actually usually do a reunion where we we do a get together every year, which we haven't had a chance to do since 2019. But
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
year is our year. We'll be back with our reunions,
Nice.
and it's my friends, right? Like, that's getting together with my friends. And when people are struggling, like, people notice when you're not there, right?
Yeah.
So you
They're like,
get
hey,
the
where's
little
that person?
DMs like, hey, I didn't see your pages. Are you making pages? And,
Mm-hmm.
having those people that kind of get it, right? That have also been down the road, and you've seen it.
Yeah.
You've seen it in their pages, and you've seen, you see the successes, but, we talk a lot about, you know, incorporating some of the real stories into our life. And I think that's kind of the difference between looking in the community versus looking at scrapbook pages that get posted on, say, Instagram or something.
Yeah.
When you look on Instagram, you're seeing pages made by designers that have access to all of the beautiful supplies within our community. You see
Mm-hmm.
pages made by real people
Yeah.
that have limited supplies sometimes, that don't have all of the pretty things. They can't spend
Mm-hmm.
8 hours working on a page. They sit
Right.
down, they make a page, they've got an hour here, maybe they have half an hour here, like maybe they did it over like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes when they could grab it. And those pages sometimes look different. Sometimes, like, they're super beautiful and designery, but seeing the realness of what we can share with each other when we're inside that community, I think for me, that's where the magic is. So when we host our load events, I always get my members to be the featured designers. I could
Nice.
reach out to some of our scrapbooking celebrities, right? I could reach out to
Sure. Yeah.
people and have, like, specially designed by professional layout shared. But there's nothing as good as seeing the realness of the pages and seeing the pictures that maybe aren't perfect, because when something
Yeah.
is going on a design page, they have professional photos that are edited, they have all those supplies, they have everything,
Yeah.
and they had all the time in the world to work on it. But when it's you and me, oh, look, my picture's kind of blurry. I took this one half in the dark. Oh, my child was moving. They're
Mm-hmm.
blinking in this one. We
Yeah.
we we work with the best that we have,
It.
but at the same time, sometimes it doesn't have to be perfect to be really good.
Yeah.
And I know I've made a lot of pages that are really good, even though, somebody looking at it would be like, why would she use that photo?
Mm-hmm.
Or her
It's.
colors are a little off on there, but
Yeah. It
it's
kind of
real.
it's almost like it tells a story, right? And that's what you're trying to capture. Hey, in the
Mhm.
moment, this is what happened. So much so that there's actually a site called Chatbooks, and I think you probably mentioned it to me, where it'll literally take photos from your album from that month and create a photo
Yeah,
album
from
that you can print and send it
from your
out.
social media. Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea, because how many people don't have time to sit down and
Mm-hmm.
do that? Like,
Yeah.
maybe they are doing the social media, they're sharing it with their family, with their friends,
Yeah.
and they can turn that into a book. I think that's fun. I think that when people look at scrapbooking, they need to look at it's not just scissors and like awesome double-sided adhesive, right? Like it is so much more. There are so many ways that we
Yeah.
bring our stories and our photos together. Like I look at the photo books that you make. Photo books are
Hmm.
fantastic.
Yeah.
That's scrapbooking to me. I look at all of my friends that are doing the digital scrapbooking. They don't touch paper. They're
Hmm.
fine with that. They're
Yeah.
doing everything on their computer. With our community, because we're not just doing that one thing, it's open for everybody to come and you
Yeah.
scrapbook in the way that works for you, and there are a lot of ways to scrapbook, so
Oh my
we get
God.
to
I
talk
love
about
that.
all of it and it's great.
And this is so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and how scrapbooking has fulfilled your life. And
Mhm.
basically, you've been able to find the thing that lights you up and you're able to help others do exactly the same. We're going to
Mhm.
take a quick breather. And when we get back, we're going to have three nuggets that you're going to share, three hacks you're going to share with our audience that they can implement. And if they want to do scrapbooking or if they want to do with their community, because you are running a community for almost, is that 9 years now? Almost going on 10, right? Almost going on 10 years. Um, wait, I got my numbers wrong. But um
Since 2016,
since
so let
2016,
people do the
exactly.
math.
Yeah, they can do the math. We're not good at math. We're good at drawing pictures and whatnot. So we'll be right back with three hacks to share with you guys. Hey guys, welcome back. We've been speaking with Alice Boll here from Scrap Happy. She has her own podcast, Scrap Happy Podcast, and she runs an amazing community of scrapbookers where you bring your creativity to the paper. Is that good?
Yeah, no, it's totally true. That's exactly how it works. You bring your creativity and you get to share your life stories. So
I
it's
love
a
it.
it's a perfect mash between like that memorabilia, those memories, the life story, and documenting it and getting to have a
Mm,
lot of fun while you do it. So that's
I
awesome.
love that. I love that. All right, so let's jump into the three hacks that you have for us to share.
Okay, I had to think about this, but actually it came really easy. My first hack would be to have fun. And that seems like really generic, but if you're having fun, then other people will have fun too. And so I think about this within my community, make sure that I'm enjoying what we do. As soon as I'm not really enjoying the types of classes that we're doing or the types of events that I'm hosting,
Hmm.
then it's time to find something that's going to be a better fit. So have fun.
I love it.
The second one would be to don't try to do too much. Sometimes, as a business owner, we think we need to do all of the things in order to give people a better experience. And too many things is often not better because I look at, for an example, within my community, if I have too many events and people feel like they're missing out on it because they can't keep up on things, then they're more likely to let their membership wash out because it's too much and they feel like they're missing too much of it. So, more is not always better. So, really think
Yeah.
about the kind of experience that people are having. You want to give them enough so that they learn what they need to do and that they're engaged when they need to engage, but not so much stuff that when life has other distractions, as we know happen,
Hmm.
then they don't feel like, oh, I can't even keep up on this. It's just too much, and I can't even do this. So more is not better. So don't do too much.
Love it.
And for the third one, I would say get help because um, whether it is technology or writing or editing or whatever it is that you're doing that you don't like doing, I guarantee there's going to be something in your business that you're just like dreading doing. That's the perfect place to see if you can get help. Now, this is a lesson I'm still working on, so it's not one that I know perfectly, but I also think that getting help can sometimes mean taking courses to brush up on some skills. You can learn some things on your own. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ways to look at the whole idea of getting help. But, my life got a lot better when I got help from my son in the tech department.
Hmm.
I will tell you, my writing got better when I got help from my AI. Like,
Oh
so,
yes.
there's a lot of different ways to bring help into your entrepreneurial journey. And I think that the sooner we accept that
Mm.
a little help can go a long way, that it makes it a better experience. So we can go back
Yeah.
to number one and have fun.
Have fun.
Right.
Have fun. Have fun. All right, sweet. I love those advices and those hacks. Quick question before we jump into the fast action questions. How do you envision the future of entrepreneurial ventures within the creative and artistic domains like yours?
So I think that when you are getting into some kind of crafty or artistic kind of business, you want to have some kind of cred to your name,
Mm,
whether it's through the time that you've put into it or the education that you have put into learning it. What you
yeah.
don't have to have done it. Like you don't have to be the best person at doing the art in order to help other people with their art and with their pursuit of that
Yeah.
passion.
Yeah.
But I think having the knowledge about it is really important. I've coached swimming, and my coaching as a coach of the swim club got a lot better the year that I decided I should try to compete at this. So learning the skills and really knowing it and understanding it helps a lot. I also say, like, embrace the technology. If you don't like recording videos and showcasing stuff, like have a plan for how you're going to reach people, because
Hmm.
if you're not willing to record videos and post something on like Instagram Reels or TikTok or something like
Yeah.
that, especially in a creative industry, you're going to struggle with what to
Hmm.
post.
Yeah.
So have a plan for that. It doesn't have to be stuff that you create yourself. Maybe it's member led. You do like
Mm,
posts that feature the cool things your members make or something of that sort. But I think having a plan for how you're going to attack some social media and knowing that social media and media in general is a really important part of your business when you are in a creative craft, and your stuff has to
yeah.
look pretty. So figure it out sooner rather than later.
I love it. Thank you so much. That goes out to those aspiring entrepreneurs also who are looking to convert their artistic passion into a viable business, because the more you post, the more pretty you can make it look, the more likes and the more, I think, money. Does it translate to money? I
It
think that's what it
does,
means.
right?
Yeah.
Like when you bring people into your fold, they find you through that stuff and they're like, oh, she does really cool things, or he does
Mm,
really cool things. And then that's where it follows. Like
yeah.
it can be a slow process through that turnover, depending on what you're doing. But um, yeah, I think you just have to know that putting pretty stuff in front of people is a really important part of an artistic business.
Amen. Amen. All right, let's jump into the rapid fire questions. I still haven't come up with a name for that segment yet, but let's do it. Number one, it's gonna be a funny question because you're living it. What is the one hobby that you wish you got into it?
Okay. So I know that your first hobby that you started you on your podcast journey was beekeeping. And I
Mm-hmm.
will tell you, I love watching the videos of the beekeeper people on YouTube and Instagram Reels and TikTok Reels.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, like, part of me was like, oh, I would love to do beekeeping. But I will tell you, I am pretty terrified of bugs and bees in particular. Like, I know they say they're not out to get you, but I have years of negative programming when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
bugs. So, as much as I would love to go out there and be that person that saves the bees, that's probably not going to be me.
No, you're right. Beekeeping was something that got me started on this journey, and it's a part of me because I it's something that I can answer a question about pretty quickly. And would I go back to actively beekeeping? Well, that's a question for another episode. Next up, what did you want to be when you were a child?
So there's a few stages in life, and of course, I made a scrapbook page about that. So
Hmm.
when I was really little, I wanted to be a ballerina on ice because I didn't know the word for figure skater. And the worst part is, like,
Nice.
I live in Canada, but I'm a terrible skater. So, like, don't tell, I might get kicked out. Like, um, and then I wanted to be a lawyer, no, a dentist, and later a lawyer, and then a teacher. So,
Mm.
you know, the passion has changed, but yeah, the funnest was a figure skater, but a ballerina on ice.
That's really interesting because from ballerina on ice to lawyer, what did you say?
Dentist, I think, was
Dentist,
next. Yeah,
and then the lawyer, and then a teacher. And
teacher.
guess what? You are a teacher because you're
I
teaching
I do.
scrapbooking.
And I'm so happy to not be in a school. I don't mind working with kids. That's how I got
Hmm.
into swim coaching, but I really love the perspective that I get working with adults in the scrapbooking industry. And
Yeah.
I just really feel like I have found my niche. It's been good.
They're so much more attentive, right, than kids.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Well, I have firsthand
They're a lot more
experience.
nervous. They're a lot more
Mm.
nervous. So here's like
Yeah.
a really weird aside. I know this is interrupting the questions, but kids are willing to try things.
Hmm.
And I've taught scrapbooking classes for kids, and they're just like in and they'll do their own thing. When you teach a class with adults, they do exactly what you did. Most of them, like 95, probably more, do
Well.
exactly what you teach. And so
Mm.
it's such a different perspective. At some point in our life, we learn to not experiment and to not try. We're
Yeah.
scared of failure. And I think that one of the greatest things that I get to push people to do is to try
Mm.
new things and to be okay with failing at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we try something, we can have fun trying, but we might be really bad at it.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
You're so right. Failure is so important for learning and for growing. And um, just today, I taught the class, and I had assigned them a homework earlier this week. I'm like, hey, do some brainstorming sessions, come up with ideas, blah blah blah. And of the 20 students, 11 submitted their work, and I read through them. I was like, some people wrote it by themselves, some people didn't. Like, okay, well, at least they're using the new technology, which is good. So I started a class with like, okay, who knows about ChatGPT? And a ton of people went up one because like I don't use it at all. Um, I don't cheat. I'm like, it's not cheating. It's not cheating. It's research. Literally, it is research, right? So, and I told them that you need to use the technology that you have given the right way, ask it the right questions so you get the right information back. So it's really interesting because I told them entrepreneurs who are successful don't follow the rules that the teacher told them to do. Like,
I embrace the AI, and I think that we should encourage kids. If this is
mm-hmm,
the tool that we have now, it's like I look at when I was a kid, we were
yeah,
told, oh, you have to learn how to do math in your head because you're never going to have a calculator in your pocket. Liar, liar, pants on
liar,
fire.
liar.
Like we all have a phone now, we have a
A
calculator in
scientific
our
calculator
pocket.
in our pockets. Yeah,
And so learning how to work with the tools that we have, I think, is so important.
yeah,
An AI is a tool, which means that teachers need to be more creative about
mm-hmm,
testing kids because what's more important is having knowledge or having tools to use the things that are available, having those
right,
skills to use what's available to you. That
100%.
to me is way more important, but that's a
I
whole nother conversation.
absolutely agree, and that that is definitely another conversation. Next question: What is your favorite movie or TV show?
Okay, I have about 10 that make the hit list, but my number one that I'm going to go with today is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now, I'm talking
Oh,
about the
that's such
old
a good
one,
one.
not the Charlie and Chocolate Factory, the one with
Sure.
Gene Wilder.
Mm-hmm.
I love that show so much. It has that scary boat scene, but the magic of when they walk into the room and it's
Mm-hmm.
like got the chocolate river and all the candy everywhere and the kids go, and I love that movie so much. So there we go.
There we go. And what movie would you choose if you got to play a character in
I would want to be in that movie.
it? Yes.
And totally, I like to think I'm not a Veruca Salt, but I might have some Veruca Salt tendencies. So let me be Veruca. Like, just let me be. I'll be so bossy and pushy. Like, I'm in.
That's right. I love it. All right. Next up, who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, this is a really hard question. So I don't
This is
know
the
that I
one your
have
son grilled you on.
my son. Okay, we had a battle over what the best superhero power is. He says the best one is teleportation, but
Mm-hmm.
actually, and that's a good one. He has a very good argument
That's a
as
pretty
why
good
that's
one.
the best. But honestly, I would take mind control because mind control could outperform teleportation. So my superhero power would be mind control. But I have to tell you, I have a pretty soft spot for, oh, am I allowed to say this? I love the girl from Kick Ass. Is that a bad word? Am I allowed to say it?
No, I think you're fine.
I think it's the name of a movie that we. Um, I love her, just the determination and like
Mhm.
that I don't give up power. And if I was looking at the Marvel universe, I have to say I love Drax the Destroyer. His ability to not understand any kind of sarcasm or jokes or anything is hilarious to me. And yeah, I kind of love him.
I think he's made a really good career out of being in that movie to now film and now star in other movies so
Yeah.
well. He's done it. He's done a really good job.
Man, like that, just the way he played that character, it's so literal and
Yeah.
I just love it. I just love it so much.
He is so good. All right, last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Uh I guess Monopoly because I love playing it so much as a
Mhm.
kid. But like, am I a board? No, I would say I'm technically not a Monopoly because Monopoly has a lot of rules that you
Sure.
follow. I
Mhm.
would have to be something that is a lot more scattered than that. So I'm probably Calvin Ball. Now I have a little backstory to that too. But Calvin Ball is the game that Calvin and Hobbes play together
Mhm.
anytime they're doing sports, and we actually have a scrapbooking version of it. So definitely I'm Calvin Ball. They make up their own rules. They don't play it the same way twice. And I'd say that's kind of how I live my life. I make up the rules as I go and I
Nice.
don't play it the same way twice. So I'm Calvin Ball.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Alice, for coming on to the show. This was a nice journey down the rabbit hole. See what I did
Hey,
there?
so my first website was called Scrapbook Wonderland for the whole Alice in Wonderland thing. Not even kidding. You didn't know that. I love
No,
it.
I know, right? Awesome. So, entrepreneurs listening to the podcast, they can find you.
So my website is called scraphappy.org. And that is kind of where you can find me. If you're looking to connect with me online, head over to Instagram because I love Instagram with
Yes.
passion. So I'm at Alice Boll. The same thing, I think, on TikTok as well. But I'm on Instagram more. Let's be real. Instagram is
Let's
where
be
it's at.
real.
They've got
That's
everything
right.
now.
They've got everything.
Yeah. And then if you'd like to listen to the podcast, it's called the Scrap Happier Podcast, and you can find it in pretty much all of the podcast players.
I love it. Thank you so much, Alice. We will catch you in the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks, Janaid.
Thank you.